Oh, my mic wasn't on. Whatever. Hello, everyone. Hello. So, if you were in the what's the damn server, pilgrammed Discord server earlier, I streamed a bit of the game, but I kind of feel bad because number one, that that stream went horribly. Like there was a lot of people that were happy about it, but it kind of went terribly because my internet was not working whatsoever, and several things were breaking while I was playing the thing. So I'm gonna showcase the game for like people here, just like a little bit, so that like you get like a basic idea. And I'm gonna do like a little explanation of the game because there was a lot of people that were like confused on how it was gonna work. So I kind of want to answer questions here. So let me get like a stage loaded up real quick. Also expect a technical difficulty because this is completely unscripted. Like this is even like a formal thing. I was just bored, so I'm deciding to get this out the way. Hold on. Let me get the thing open. Okay. Let me just go there first. Let's start at the menu. Okay. There you go. Okay. This open. Let me see if the audio is up. You can barely hear it. There you go. Now you can hear it more. All right. So, and by the way, sorry if it's like framed weirdly or anything. Okay, there. I think that's good. Okay. Oh, so how do I explain this? I think a lot of people already pointed out it's absolutely inspired by Library of Runa, and it's going to be taking up like that's going to be like the main foundation that I'm building it off of. Like this isn't. I'm not saying that Pilgrims was like the most original game, but this is definitely one of the more inspired games, if that makes sense. Like inspired off of something else. Um. So I guess the best way to put it is that it's a deck builder, but it's more like action based than like your typical like deck builder. Like it's more based off like combat rather than just like using random cards with random explanations, like stuff like that. Like it's more focused on numbers, I guess. It's not Slay the Spire though. I saw a few people said it was Slay the Spire. It's not Slay the Spire. I guess you could say it's similar in some aspects, but they just call anything anything. So I wouldn't say that. But it is a deck builder, and I'm gonna explain the gameplay in a moment. So obviously, as you can tell, the it's definitely taking after Pilgrimed a lot more. Um, based off like just the UI in general and like the art style. I'm definitely basing it off of Pilgrim, but also the gameplay is gonna be heavily based on like Pilgrim's philosophies, like more like creative, like build making. Like like freedom is basically what I'm going for because I think the original game Library of Runa was a bit too restrictive and also it just lulls about with like the fun part of the game. So I want to make it so that at least everywhere you're having some sort of fun or like unique interaction going on. That's like my main goal. But also it's a story thing. So you'll be able to explore a bit of the story. It's gonna be like um I'm pretty sure every stage will have some sort of like cutscene with you interacting with like the characters and stuff, so you'll be able to gain more insight into like Dylane, for example. Like just the general thing, and it's also funny. I plan it just to be like entertaining. It's not going to be super like dark or deep or anything. It's just going to be a fun little game. That's what I hope it to be. Let's see. Is this implying Pilgrimmed has an end? In this game, it doesn't have the end that I planned for it isn't like the end of the game. If there was an end, I don't know if there's even an end to Pilgrim, but because the current state of the game, the actual Pilgrimmed, is that there's no real end. But I mean, I consider Old Fart to be like the technical end of the game, but it's not really the end. There's no like credit scene or anything. So, um, I'd say the closest the ending gets to here is like, well, I mean, this game explores even beyond the current stuff of the game. I plan for it's. It's not gonna be like just a complete copy of like the original shit, just in a different format. It's gonna be like 50 to 75% Pilgrimed, like the stuff you know now, and then there'll be like 25% where it's brand new stuff. That's what I'm going for, because it would be kind of lame if I just made the game again but in a different format. I mean, it's fun for me, but you already experienced that, so I would rather have at least something new to tell. So let's go over like the base mechanics, right? So obviously this is more relevant to you if you already know how Ruina works, but you have your stages. Players will be able to go through several chapters. This is the beginnings chapter, and as you can tell, you'll be able to go through the stages. Obviously, there's not a lot of assets right now, so that's why it looks so blank. But for example, this is the tutorial. You'll be playing with Skeleton O'Myers for the tutorial. And I think the tutorial is pretty good. That's the other thing. I need this game to be at least somewhat explained. Like, at least people get it. Because if people don't get the game, because a lot of people don't get how Ruina works, so if people don't get the game, then it's gonna be a terrible game for them. So I hope that the tutorial is suffice, and I'll have various tutorials throughout the game, so you'll be revisiting him, but that's beside the point. So you'll be going through stages, and as you go through stages, you'll be tested by Dylane more and more. That's like the main synopsis of this game. You are essentially testing for Dylane. That's the main thing. And the challenges that you face are reflective of how undefeatable the tower will be. So I can't spoil too much, but mainly you'll be pushing against obstacles like the bosses and like the different enemies. And it'll be a lot more cerebral, because since it's a RPG, I'll be able to work with more like unique, like, I guess the word is like intelligent mechanics, but I don't want to say that because it's not like super smart or anything. It's just, it'll require more brain power than normal Pilgrimmed, where you just hold M1, maybe you tap F here and there, and you just win. So I hope to, maybe it'll be harder than Pilgrim. I think that's definitely a certain thing. It'll definitely be harder. How many bosses appear from Pilgrimmed in here? It's kind of interesting. Obviously, there's not. I haven't made a lot right now. I'll be honest. The stuff you see right here is all that's been made for like the actual terms of content and the deck I currently have. These are all the cards that you can get right now, I think. Yeah, these are all the cards that you can get right now. And there's only like 2 or 3 accessories, so there's not a lot of actual content. But I plan for at least most, if not all, the enemies or like bosses from the original game to be in here. That's like my main thing with the Pilgrimmed part of it. With the original part, it'll be completely different. Are you planning on adding bosses from the winter? Absolutely. And that's another thing I want to touch on. The bosses in this game, some of them will be bosses that weren't originally bosses in Pilgrimmed. Like, for example, this is just an example. If you were able to like fight Lebroni, you would be able to fight Lebroni here. Like that's how I want to do that. So it's more like an expansion too, but it'll still be like I'm not gonna just make everything you can fight, you know, and obviously the more minor fights will be like extra things that you can do. Um, and then there'll also be multiplayer. It's already fully functional. You can just create a party. So like say party, and then you can create it, and then people can join. It's at a max limit of 5 because of well, you can only have 5 people on one side. So yeah, uh, 5 party, 5 member parties. I think that'll be fine. I think you guys live with 5 member parties, but I think you might be concerned because if you played Runa, you'll know that most of the fights in there you kind of need people like other players to control to get more attacks on the enemy. But I plan for like the game to be doable just solo because it would suck if I just made the game like have multiplayer required, you know. So there's already measures in place for like if you just want to play solo, you'll get an extra few buffs and stuff during a fight. It'll still be somewhat challenging just because I mean it is solo. So if I just made everyone the same power as solo for like parties and stuff, it would be insanely easy. So it'll still be somewhat challenging, but it should be doable is my point. And besides, you can for parties you can lock it if there's too many people or if it's just you and some other person, so you don't get any more join requests. Or um and also bless me, you can the it's just prompts so people can't just randomly join, like you have to approve them. So it's a lot easier to just set up a party, get it going, you know. I'm sure it'll be a lot easier to have private parties once the game's more popular because obviously if there's like one person playing it, then you only see this party. Um, would there be lore in the game? Absolutely. Like obviously. I think that's pretty obvious. I don't know why I would miss out on that. Do the health of the enemies increase with more players, such as bosses having more health when going against more than one person? No. It's going to be designed around solo player, but it should be like I think multiplayer should be the most fun part of the game. I think it should be the most fun. So I'm not gonna make it so that like pilgrimmed where like you have like 5,000 HP because you brought like 2 extra people. Um, so I think it'll keep difficulty consistent because if you want to play solo, then you get the normal challenge, and then if you just want to play with friends and have fun, then you get to steamroll while having a little bit extra fun. I think that's pretty cool. And I think I'll have bosses where, you know, having more people is more complicated, but that's beside the point. Hey, so is this like an April Fool's prank? I'm getting tired of being fooled for the 1st of April. It's already happened twice. Please don't tell me. No. I only released it on April Fool's because I just wanted to mess with people, but no, it's absolutely a real thing. I was working on this since like February. Will you add, will you base the bosses from bosses in Library of Runa? No. The thing is with Library of Runa bosses is that it wouldn't fit pilgrims because those bosses are based around their own lore and system. I can't do the same here. Like it's gonna be based off the bosses in pilgrimed and like how they work. It's gonna be like more like an interpretation using Runa systems rather than just having Runa bosses in there. Um, let's see. Any more questions before I begin? Is the game based off Library Runa? I already said yeah. It is based off Library Runa. Okay. Is there more clearance on End's lore and what chaos actually is in the universe of Pilgrimed? I'll be honest, I'm not that far ahead into planning. I'm not. You'll see when it comes out because and speaking of which, I should probably mention um the game might come out before it's actually fully done. Not because I'm like trying to be lazy or anything. It's just because I think it's better that way. Because Pilgrimmed also didn't come out when it was fully done. Like you saw, it got like a bunch of other updates. But I'm planning to do that as well. So you'll be able to. I think it would be ideal to release at least with a few late game bosses from Pilgrimmed. So it would be like 60%, 70% done in terms of content, and then you can get the rest um throughout. That's what I plan to do for in terms of release. So with that being said, um it's definitely not coming out during April or May. I will say that there's still many things that have to be done before I can even consider releasing the game, but it will definitely not be during April and May, and not probably not June either. I will be making decent progress during after May because currently I'm doing schoolwork, so I can't uh add everything I want to immediately. But I do plan for like after May, I'll be working hard on getting this game out. And it's pretty simple to work on, so it's not like it'll be like Pilgrims where it takes a year or so to make stuff. It's gonna be way simpler to add stuff. It's just really about the imagination more than actually like having to add the stuff because most of the heavy lifting's already done off the scenes. So I think the game won't take that long, honestly. Okay, so how is parry going to be implemented? Bullshit classes. Obviously it's Runa, so I can't add like timed parries. It's just the clash win for block. If you know what Library of Runa is and you played it, that's basically what parries are going to be. And it's gonna work exactly like Runa, so will the new enemies we haven't seen be plentiful in this game? Yeah, I mean it'll be 25% or like maybe like 30% of the game. So I think you'll have a decent amount of enemies to see that are new. It'll be I plan to have like at least some lore characters make it there. Maybe a few of like the testers characters too. Like the testers from original Pilgrimed. You'll see. Obviously I don't have everything planned out, so I'm not going to pretend like I'm like already figured out what the 30% is going to be. But I at least know what the 70% is going to be. Will it be computer only? No, I don't. I want to add mobile support. The only thing is that I've never added mobile support before. That's purely Tenda and Bloodbrain. Those are the only two people that have. Well, no, it's mainly just Tenda. But I'm saying Pilgrimed, the base game, was the game that had mobile support. I haven't worked with mobile support, so I apologize in way advance if it's not up to par because I don't play on phones, so I wouldn't know. But I do plan to have at least some accessibility for sure, because it would be kind of stupid if you could only play this game on PC when I acknowledge that like 40% of Pilgrim's players is mobile. Could you explain a bit how? Can you explain a bit more how these timelines work, or a synopsis of the spinoff? Uh, Sorry, I just muted my mic. Um, So this takes place before the events of Pilgrimed. That's like what I mainly meant by that. This takes place before like you guys and your characters play Pilgrim. That's what's going on here. So this is when Dylane was first creating the tower, and the character that you play as here, yet again, not to spoil too much, but it's sort of like a testing variable that he makes, and the whole point is because pilgrims are the most capable of like the pilgrimed world, at least the area that you guys play in. he uses that as a variable, and that's why you see all the fights here. It's testing to make sure that everything is tweaked accurately, and also for gaining insight onto how the world works. Will you add rifts, and how would they work? There might be a rifts like chapter, but there won't be like rifts like um well, I don't know yet actually. I didn't think of that, honestly. I don't know. We'll see, because I mean, as you can tell, there's many room for buttons and hickey doodads here, so you can see that there's definitely opportunity for more. I just don't know right now. So does the main game have its own official lore? I think that was pretty obvious. It just doesn't elaborate on itself. It just says the few bits and pieces of the lore, and you're just um supposed to take what you can get. Because Pilgrimmed in this game, both Pilgrimmed in this game will not be like super lore focused or anything. That's never going to happen. Pilgrim's supposed to be like a lighthearted experience. Obviously, there'll be stuff to find out and to like deduce and stuff like that, which is what we were kind of trying to do with the last update, the raindrops. That was definitely something that we were trying to make a more like story narrative focused update. But obviously, there's still plenty of just straight up mindless stuff that's added to the game. And I think I want to keep that balance rather than leaning into like, Library of Ruina's super deep dark story, narrative, whatever. So it won't be as like lore heavy, if that's what you were expecting. Is a turn-based system like actually canon? No, there's no lore explanation for the combat format. It's just treated like how Pilgrim combat would be in the lore for this game. Will Bonzods and Bloodrain mainly compose more serious or less serious soundtracks as opposed to early game Pilgrims? So this game is obviously it's going to use soundtracks from Pilgrim. Like, it's just guaranteed. Most of the Pilgrim bosses will be getting their soundtracks from the original game, but maybe it'll be edited or something just to keep with like the format of like the sound design in this game, because unlike Pilgrimed, this game will have like, I guess, how do you say it, because it's hard to explain if you don't know, but like in Runa, if you level up, the music changes, and that's how it's gonna work here for some fights. So I want to kind of have that here too if I could, but obviously I'm not a composer, so I wouldn't know how to do that. So it depends on whether they're willing to cooperate with that. I wouldn't say it would be any more serious than it is right now, though. It won't be like anything like super fucking deeper emotional or anything, if that's what you're expecting. Will Dreamworld be expanded upon lore-wise or content-wise in Dylan's Tower? I won't get into specifics, but you will be seeing an aspect of dreams that you did not see before. You will absolutely see something like that in this game. You will absolutely, and you'll be using it too. That's the crazy part. You will be using the dream aspect too. So you will learn more into that. If you're going to add a lot of bosses from the original Pilgrim, how would you implement larger bosses such as Magma Turtle? Honestly, it depends. I didn't think of that yet. I plan to keep the original size, but some bosses, like the skeleton, might have to be more gimmicky, because I can't just add a giant fucking skeleton. That would be terrible. If the camera just works with that, that would be a terrible fight. So you'll have to see. But plan for like the boss's size to be kept if it's relatively doable. Maybe at the worst, I'll probably just shrink them. It won't kill the fucking story if I shrink the bosses a little bit. Will Pilgrim being will Pilgrimmed? Oh my god, I can't read today. Will Pilgrim be getting a respective update that relates to Dylane's Tower at all? Because from what I know, this is only a spin-off. Yes, this does not eliminate the chance of the actual Pilgrim to getting its own Dylane update. This is just purely a spin-off. Purely a spin-off. Nothing more. This isn't a replacement for the update. This isn't part of the main game. This is a pure spin-off, and I feel like a lot of people got that confused, and I'm sorry, but I did say it multiple times, so if you thought that it wasn't that, I don't know, maybe you have to start reading some more. I'm sorry. But no, it is not part of the main game. It is a spin-off that will not replace any sort of Dylane update if it were to come out. I'm not saying it is coming out. I'm just saying if it were to come out. And I'm seeing a lot of shit about open world. Unfortunately, it will not. Well, okay. I guess I'll phrase it like this. Obviously, I haven't planned this all out yet, but at least from what I've thought of, it's going to be linear in the sense that like the main parts of the thing you'll have to do. You won't be able to like skip to other parts. Obviously, the progression might not just be like, you go to prairie and then you go to tundra, or you go to the forest. Like it's not gonna be like all of that. Like there will be points where you jump progression just so that you can keep it interesting, and also because let's be honest, you're playing the game for the fun bosses to be reinterpreted, not for like pro thief or the bears. Like you're not like killing yourself at your seat because oh my god, the bears are gonna be part of this game. No, you're waiting for Kai Guy, you're waiting for all that, and I get that. That's what I think too. That's what I think too. So there will be jumps and there will be little points where you'll be like, what the fuck? What is he doing? But you'll be like, oh my god, this was fun. And also, on top of that, there will be after like you clear like the main parts of like a chapter, which is like this. So like say you clear the prelude, the Thieves 2, taking the throne, then there'll be extra stages that unlock that you can do optionally for just extra cards or like extra armors and stuff. Sort of like how Pilgrimmed is right now, because you do follow kind of like a progression path. Obviously, you can't jump from prairie to tundra, for example. So there's always that little like road that you have to take. But there will be points where you'll be able to play leisurely, and that's where like for example the non bosses from the original game become bosses here, for example. That's where they would be. How will it work? How will loot work? You just get it at the end of the thing. One thing I do want to stress, because if you played Ruina, you would know that Ruina is a pain in the ass when it comes to loot. So I will be clarifying this right now. You will be immediately getting all the like good stuff from like fights. As soon as you win it, you get all the stuff you need for the next fight, or at least if you want like the best stuff, you will get it from it. Obviously, there's rare drops and stuff that you can grind for, but they're not necessary. Also, assuming I'm too lazy to add like a loot viewer for like or like a bestiary, for example, it'll be purely luck based. So I do plan to have like rare stuff that you can get. Like for example, the oh shit, I don't even have it on me. But there's an accessory right now that's like a 25% chance to get right now. That's like the first rare drop of the game. And that's what it's kind of gonna be like. So Ruina, just in case you need context, Ruina has a system where if you lose a fight, you lose the stuff for that fight, and you have to go back to grind up to that thing. I will not be doing that. Also, Runa has a system where you're not guaranteed everything. You have to replay the fight just to get all the stuff from that fight. I will also not be doing that because I know how much that sucks. And at heart, I am a very impatient person. I love just to play and get all the stuff immediately and just be able to play with pure power, not all this elaborate bush, uh, pissing around the bush, basically. You know, oh my god, I have to go back to get this one card, so I can set up for this fight. No, I will not be doing that. If you like that part, I don't know what's wrong with you. Maybe you're a psychopath. But for normal people and people that may be employed, I will not be doing that. You will be guaranteed everything. It's just you will have, obviously the conditional stuff, but you will be guaranteed stuff. It will be easier than Pilgrim to get stuff. Is my point. Unrelated question here. Will Fexonius remaster old games that are privatized or really outdated? No. At least we haven't planned that right now. I don't think so. I don't know. It's if we can't speak. It's if we decide on it, but I haven't thought of it, and I don't think anyone else has. So I mean, if you see it, then that means we did it, but otherwise, no. Let's see. Also, there will be a direct storyline. I did see that question. Sorry if I'm not reading everything. There is a lot of questions to answer. You know how there's shops and villages and stuff in OG Pilgrim? Would that be somehow added in the new game? I do kind of want to add that, though. That is the thing. I kind of want to add shops and stuff, but I haven't really added functionality for that. So if it happens, then it happens. But if it doesn't, then I mean, it'll probably just be part of the story. Maybe they'll just be story, like optional story stages that you just watch a cutscene from, and then you get free loot from because your character buys something. Stuff like that. Assuming that I'm lazy, I'll just do something like that because I mean, let's be honest, I'm not. Oh God, if I had to add everything from Pilgrim in this game, I don't know how long that takes. Let's see. Will there be ego cards or just new large damage cards? Okay, so for context, for anyone who hasn't played Runa, ego cards are like just these really special cards that they're really impactful, and they have a lot of like aura to them, basically. In new gen terms, aura. They have lots of aura to them, and in a sense, yes, there will be stuff like that. Although I guess if I had to say, I can't say exactly what it will be because that'll be spoilers, but I will guarantee that there will be cards, and I'll explain this in a moment. But there will be cards that are parts of weapon sets, and those will have those will always at least have one heavy attack card, based off like the original heavy or like a reinterpreted heavy, and that will be like your little mini ego cards. They'll be powerful. That's basically what I'm going for. Uh, let's see. How long do you think campaign will take to complete? Approximately how many hours? Okay. So at least based off what I planned so far, I do want to make hard fights. So it won't be as long as Library of Runa. That's for sure. No, like 150 hours just to get near the end fights. No, it will be maybe like 20, 30, maybe. I don't know. We'll see. It depends on how much you already know about Runa and how long it takes you, because I feel like that's like the main obstacle. If you don't understand the combat, it'll be hell trying to get through the game. And also, obviously, the boss fights themselves will probably be difficult. So you'll see. I think it'll be like, it won't be that long. It won't be nearly as long as Runa, that's for sure. But I mean, it'll probably be more worthwhile with friends. So Uh, will there be more original content here other than Dylan? Yeah, I already said that. 20-30% will be. Um, will the will this prologue explain elements around old fart such as dreams, dimensional landscapes? There will be stuff on it. I won't say exactly how, but there will be stuff on it. How will multiplayer work? Knowing there's a multiplayer button. If a player dies while the other player is alive, will the other be able to spectate during the battle or be able to get revived? Okay. I think I've stalled long enough, so I'll just show you how the combat plays so I can answer that question. All right. So let's open just the basic fight, right? Okay. So just to answer the question real quick, multiplayer, obviously as you can see I'm playing solo right now, but in multiplayer, the players will be able to do their own moves and stuff, and if they die they'll be able to spectate. Yes, I don't know about revives yet. I might do that, but I haven't really planned that far ahead to add revives, but I don't think I'll add it. Like, if you mean like as like a base feature, no, it'll probably be like a card or something maybe, but not like a base feature. Let's see. Is this game like Limbus Company? I don't blame you for not knowing, but this is based off Library of Ruina. Limbus Company is similar to Library of Ruina, but it's not the same thing. Absolutely not. It's based off dice. Alright, so let me explain the combat. So, as you can see, there's dice above their head, right? I think you can't see my mouse. No, you can, okay. So, this is your health bar, obviously. This is your stagger bar. I guess the most you can compare this to is like Deep Woken, fucking, what's the word, posture, but it's not necessarily posture. It's just another health bar. But if this goes down, then you get like guard broken in Pilgrim. That's like the best comparison I can make. You get guard broken, and you can't act for a turn. So that's like the main thing. You generally want to be avoiding draining the stagger bar more than the health bar. Obviously, you have to be careful about the health bar, but the stagger bar is definitely something you have to worry about. And then the little blue like points underneath is your mana points, and these are used to use your cards. And to use a card, you click on a dice, a speed dice, and these are randomly rolled at the beginning of a turn. Depending on their number, if the higher number dice, if it has a higher number, let's say that, if it has a higher number, it goes first before other cards. That's the main thing. So, for example, this card right here, Trouble, would act first before this card. That's how it works. And let's see. You click a dice, and you can select a card. And cards have these little dice right here. And the best way to explain them is during combat, they roll either between their minimum or their maximum. So, for example, this card is a slash dice. So when it wins against an enemy, it will do between 2 to 4 damage. So it can deal either 2, 3, or 4 damage. That's basically how it works. This is like the slash die. This is the pierce die. This is the blunt die. Like this, the icon above the dice, like sigil, is the type of damage it does. And there's different types of dice. I won't explain them all, but basically, red dice deal damage. Blue dice have their own unique properties based off like mitigating attacks. So this is a shield die, or a block die in this case. And the block die, if you win in a fight against an enemy, you do a parry. And if you lose, it reduces the damage you take from a red die. That's basically how it works. And then roll die, or in this case, an evade die. If it wins, it negates the incoming damage and you restore stagger. But if you lose, you just take full damage anyways. That's basically like the main like fundamentals. And then there's obviously card types. This is a melee. This is a ranged. I can't explain them all, but the main feature of like Ruina in this game will be clashes. And when two cards, when two cards clash with each other. So you'll see weak guard here clashes against trouble. And that's because my speed is higher than them, so I can make them clash against me. But it would also be if, for example, if this dice was targeting my third and I go here, even if my speed was lower than theirs, I would still be able to clash. That's how it works. So when your dice clash, they roll against each other rather than just rolling straight against the enemy. And if one die rolls higher than the other, they win the clash, and their effect takes place, and not the other die. The losing die is destroyed. So it's basically like rock, paper, scissors, but numerically, rock, paper, scissors. So for example, let's just like set up a few clashes, right? Let's say I clash with Charge here, and just for like a finishing thing, clash against this, right? So you're about to witness can I can pause. Okay, I can't pause it, but you'll just see. So you see they compared dice. My guy just lost, so he's taking damage. I'm clashing against this guy. You see he just did a parry. And it's relatively fast, but you'll get used to it. The main gameplay is just planning out the thing for the best possible chances of winning. So, and there's statuses in this game too. It'll be based off the pilgrim statuses, not Runa. Obviously, I'll have to play with Runa stuff too, because I mean, they made the damn thing. But I'll be trying to work with the stuff in Pilgrim too, so that it translates over. That's also what I want to do. And obviously, enemies have their health, their resist, their range for their speed die, so these die. And then they have their resistances. Some enemies will be weaker to slash or pierce or blunt than others. And then they have their passives. The one thing I would say about this game is that you have to read. I'll try to make things as simple as possible, or like easy to understand, but you will have to read to beat the later parts of this game at least. That's definitely something I do want to warn you about. And also another thing I want to mention real quick. I'll be taking after Pilgrim systems, so if you know in Runa, your main thing is like key pages and stuff. And like I guess battle charms if you care about those. But here your accessories will be important. There'll be an accessory system, and they'll have their own bonuses and stuff too. And that will count as like passive attribution in Runa. One, because I'm too lazy to add passive attribution, but also because it's a cute little system. And I guess like I had a good point coming up. I guess I forgot. Point being, oh yeah, in Ruina, you know how you have to manage like 5 decks and 5 different characters and 8 different floors or whatever. You'll only be managing one. It'll be a very individual thing. And I guess the best way to describe it is, if you want to play play with other players, the best thing to do is to communicate with them. Absolutely the number one thing you have to do. You have to communicate with teammates if you want to win with teammates. That is absolutely something you can do. And that's why there's a chat feature. You can say hi. You see, hi. You can... I just figured out a bug that I might keep where you can steal player cards and you can use it on your own. Obviously, if I do keep it, I'll have to add like some sort of like consent system so that you can't just steal cards. But I do want players like play this in like VCs or something so they can easily communicate, or at least at the bare minimum they just give the they just use the chat. At least if they communicate, I think it'll be very fun if you guys work with each other, because there's a lot of opportunity here. And also another thing, so in pilgrammed there's skills, right? Obviously I haven't added that here, but instead there are favors, and these kind of replace like the ego pages, not the ego, the abnormality pages in Ruina. And they work kind of differently too. They're always available for you to buy during the like the pre-combat phase. So you can open up this little tab right here and you get access to different favors that you can buy with your XP. So it becomes this little dynamic where you're balancing between leveling up to get the bonuses of leveling up and unlocking more favors, as well as being able to afford these favors, because favors with higher costs will be harder to like reach the cost to do it without it leveling up. So it'll be like this little balance of trying to budget your XP. I think that's a cool system too that I'm really proud of. Being able to like manage your XP, and your allies will be able to buy favors on their own. There won't be like a permission system, so work with them on that too. And also the enemies will be able to use some of these too in certain fights. Not all of them, but certain fights they'll be able to use these too. So I would suggest not letting them level up. That's my best suggestion for winning the game. Do not let them level up. That is a terrible decision. Especially with later fights. But sometimes it'll be unavoidable. So I wouldn't try too hard if it's clearly intended. Let's see. How will summons / NPCs like Vuvuzela / Taurus NPC when find Purple Shark work? There are summons for enemies right now, but I don't know how it'll work for players right now. That is something I haven't worked with at all. I did originally want it to be so that you could summon it and it does its own thing, but I might, if I do add summons, I might make it so that you can like summon it and you can control it. So it's kind of like Runa in the sense that you can control other people, but you can't like predetermine its like deck or anything. It's purely just whatever you get, you get. Will the prologue explain more on how the combat works compared to how you did? Because I got a little confused, if I'm being honest. Yes. The tutorial, I'm actually kind of proud of. I think it explains it pretty well. I think you'll like the tutorial. It's comfortable and it explains things a lot more slowly. And it also has some funny little dialogue in there just to keep you entertained. So I think it's pretty good for how complex the combat system is. And I'm not surprised that people get confused. Because I was confused myself when I first started playing Runa. So will speed die be lowered in multiplayer? Because having 3 speed die for player at level 1 seems too much. Number 1, this is a solo buff. So you're not going to have 3 for every player. Obviously, I still have to balance multiplayer anyways, but this isn't like something that every player will have in the early game. Although I do want to at least have 2 available at the start, because playing with 1 is very boring. I realized in Runa, and I don't really have like any reason not to just have 2 at the start. Enemies will still have a default of 1 though. Multiplayer will have a turn timer? No. Just no. I know there are definitely flaws with that, like people just you join a party and then they just stall the whole time and they waste your time. That's why I say work with the people that you're playing with. Um, I wouldn't add a turn timer, no. That's just a terrible thing to add in a game where you'll constantly be thinking really hard. And also, having a turn timer kind of ruins the suspense because you're forced to attack. But I mean, for example, in Runa, I feel like there was more suspense whenever I was like deeply thinking on how to make something work. Let's see. Sorry if I'm avoiding questions, by the way. I'm not avoiding it on purpose. I just genuinely do not see it. Let's see. Will we get that red mist shenanigans in this game too? I haven't thought of it yet, but if it does happen, it'll be very late game. You'll see if I do it, but I probably won't. Let's see. Let's see. Oh, people were asking about potions. So unlike Runa, there'll be a new type of page, and I think you already saw it here. I forgot to edit this to say cards, but whatever. Pages are called cards in this game, just because I think that makes more sense. But either way, for example, support pages are going to be different. This is mainly just for Runa players, so if you're not a Runa player, then I'm sorry if this confuses you. You'll see it in the actual game. But support pages will be after all the combat has been done. So it's like a last in the order of like cards. So you know how like ranged pages go first and then melee. That's how it works. So support will be last, and they'll be like so for example, it'll be like potion pages or like clever tome page, for example, you know, like stuff like that. That will be like support pages, or like rallying horn or like vuvuzela. Stuff like that will be support pages, and it will have its own little sub class, kind of like Pilgrim, where it's not like an influential class, but it's still there as like just if you want to be a supportive role. Let's see. Okay. Anything unique like on kill pages or key pages or armor? What? If you mean like getting armor on kill, then no, you'll have to get the armor after the fight ends. So when you win, you'll be able to get it. But I do want armors will be like key pages in Runa. That's basically what armors will do. And they'll include the helmets that they come with too. So there's less customizability. I'm sorry, you can't mix and match helmets, but it's okay. I don't think you'll miss it too much. Will this adapt the entire pilgrimmed progression? Mostly. I do plan to cull some of the less enthusiastic parts because it's just like, why would I want to add, for example, like the like I can't add like the labyrinth, for example. That's just impossible. How would you make that a fight? You literally can't win against them. Hey, is this game not likely to have mobile support? No, it will probably have mobile support on release. I do want to have mobile support before releases. That is something I am striving for. It will be difficult because I am not familiar with adding mobile support, which is why World Song was in mobile support. But I do want to add mobile support for here. Mainly just because it would suck if I released a new game and you can't even play it because, you know, I'm too lazy to just add like a few extra features so that you could play it. Although I can't guarantee that it will be very fun to play on mobile. It'll be doable, but it won't be that great. I don't know if the UI will be super pleasant to read. Maybe you'll have to get like an extendable neck or something just to read it, but my point is that you'll be able to play on mobile before it releases at least. Will there be any April Fool's updates? If this game gets to a point where it can survive to an April Fool's update, probably. Can we toggle through the helmet through the armor's key pages? Probably. I can probably make that happen. That's probably something they'll be asked in the future, so I'll add that too. Let's see. How long do you plan to keep updating the game? I'll answer both questions because I feel like this is for Pilgrimmed, like the regular game, but I'll also say for this game. For this game, I will be updating it until it is done. Until it is done. There won't be like... Well, I could add expansion packs or whatever. That's a possibility. I might do that. I don't know. That's something that will have to be discussed when I get to that. Oh my god, that's going to be so far from now. But yeah, if I do get to that point, and I do want to add an expansion pack, sure. Why not? But probably not right now. So when I release the game, it will probably not be fully complete, so you'll be getting updates mainly for content and player feedback and stuff. Because I don't want to make this game like unfun or like, too boring or anything. So if there's anything that players really want, like really, really want, and it's not like super different from what I'm going for, then I'll probably add it. Or like suggestions or anything. Obviously, I have a tester team, so it's not like I'm gonna be starved for like any sort of like ideas or anything. But if someone comes up with a good idea, I might add it. Or like good like balance change or whatever. I'm fine with that. And then I did not mean to click that, but whatever. I guess you get like Subway Surfers gameplay in the background. So as for actual Pilgrimmed, I honestly don't know. There is something possibly something possibly being worked on, as you can tell with the sneak peeks before April Fool's. There was something being worked on, but I'm not gonna say what it is. And I'm going to give you a little hint. I'm going to give you a little idea of what it is. But I think it'll be fun. Let's see. But it probably won't be coming out for a good while. That's definitely something that will be happening. Both this game and the Pilgrimmed update, the actual Pilgrimmed update, won't be coming out for a good while. I plan to have this game released before this year ends, so by 2025. So quote me on that, I guess. But there won't be any progress done for this game during like any substantial progress done during like later April and like May, because I will be testing. So testing academically, not the game. Academically, I will be testing, so I will not be able to work on this game that much during those times. But during summer, I will be absolutely able to. Hopefully, if there's no extrapolating circumstances that get in the way. But I really hope I can work on this, because it's really easy to work on compared to Pilgrim, so it shouldn't take too long, hopefully. Will this game have ranged options for combat? Yes, that is something I also want to mention. In this game, because I feel like Ruina kind of restricts you to just like the mostly melee pages. If you know what that is, it's basically just melee, the basic page. But in this game, you'll have access to ranged pages and melee pages and all the other cool little things from the beginning. Like what I plan, and this is just like a hypothetical right now. I haven't actually worked on it yet. I plan to start it this weekend, but the weapon classes in Pilgrimmed will sort of make up like the broad scope of like the cards. So like there'll be because cards in this game will have an assigned weapon. So for example, this is Old Dagger. This is an Old Dagger weapon. This resonates with other Old Dagger weapons. And when you're using 3 or more Old Dagger weapons in a weapon cards in a turn, you gain benefits from it. So, for example, this card gets modified when it resonates with other old sword weapons, which is what these are. So that's how it works, basically. So these will be like the narrow branches, for like the specific weapons, and I plan to have at least most of the weapons from Pilgrims in here. But the broad classes will make up the behavior and like the structure of these cards. So, for example, old dagger and like other dagger like class weapons and their cards will be more focused on dice count, and like, so example, this would have multiple dice and either like really low or really high roll ranges, obviously based off conditions if it's higher, but point being, yes, it will have unique behavior based off the type of weapon it is. For example, swords, just medium swords will be a mix between the two. Great swords will be more focused on single hits and just great power in general. There will be gun pages that you can get based off the guns, and they'll have their own behavior and stuff. So there will be lots of stuff to work with, and that is something I'm very happy with this game. It's very fun thinking about how to reinterpret the game as a different game, while also making it a little original in its own right. So I think that's like going to be the main good part of it, like the creativity and being able to work with different types of shit. That will definitely be very fun. Will this game only be Runa mechanics, or will it be Runa mechanics combined with other stuff? I already said this, but it will be based off the Runa combat, but it will have its own unique mechanics. So, for example, favor selection is unique. Hell, even the XP system's unique because there's no like individual emotion level like in Runa. It's just you all contribute to this level, but it's also like a currency, and cards, like card types and also dice types also behave differently here too compared to Runa. Also, I generally plan for it to be more not realistic, more creative, more based off pilgrimmed mechanics and working off of that like principle of like creative freedom and, you know, build making. That is something I definitely want to add. And also it will be less focused on like, you know, the Ruina type of combat where it's just like, oh, the boss has 5 goons that you have to deal with before you can fight the actual boss. I'm not adding that type of stuff. Most bosses will be solo, or like not solo, but you know what I mean, like it's gonna be like just the boss itself, or like maybe like it's goons if it's like a boss from the original game that had goons. But there won't be like, you know, every fucking boss has like 5 different fucking things to keep track of. I hate that shit about Runa. So you will not be having that happen. Sorry for asking you too much, but is there a way to contribute? Currently no. Just right off the bat, no. I don't think you said anything, but just in case you did, I'm sorry, but no. I'm not accepting contributors for it because it's pretty simple to make. That's the thing, guys. It's really simple to make, and that's why I really like about making this game. It's a very low budget game to make. Animating is just putting poses together. It's basically it, but not like literally. That's me, like in the animation sense, but like just making like 1 or 2 poses and making it look nice. That's basically it. Like it's not anything like actual animating that I need help with. Effects, I have most of the Pilgrim stuff. I'm also pretty good with effects myself. Sound design, if you didn't notice, actually my, I'll play it right now. I think you'll be able to hear it. Will you be able to hear it? Did you hear that? That beautiful sound? Yes, that sound right there. Oh my god. You know how the original parry sound for Pilgrims like cuts off randomly, right? Like, did y'all notice that? Well, guess what? No longer. No longer. Right? Clash. Right? Like, it will be... The sound design, I'm good with. And also, Pilgrim surprisingly has a very wide sound library, so I don't even need help with that. And then soundtrack, I have the guys to help me with that, or just picking stuff from Pilgrimmed because that's mostly what it'll be. Um, and that's basically it. So I don't need any help, but thank you for the offer. Are you planning to make new OSTs, especially for Dying Tower? Um, Probably. If Probably just for the latter half of the game where it's original stuff, but also maybe like remixed versions or whatever, just for like the specific phase type of music fight. Like, blah, God, that was a terrible way of putting it. Like, every time your character levels up, though, if it applies, of course, because I can't make 5 OSTs for every fight, but there will be fights where the music progresses with the level. So imagine there was a oh my god. Also, deinbag, I forgot to ask, will it be free? Yes, it will be absolutely free. You will not have to pay a dime to get in this game. And maybe there'll be like a game pass or two, maybe just for like some petty shit. But it won't be like pay to win or anything. It'll be just simple cosmetic, like how uh normal Pilgrim was. And the only thing will be there won't be private servers. There will not be private servers like Pilgrim because there's already the party system. So why would I charge you for private servers? Like what? Will there be counters? Yes, counter dice. All the dice types and the page types already are coded. All the types of stuff I need to make the game are coded. That's what mainly delayed like the reveal for this game. It was just making the base game so I could work off of it. But now that it's done, you see I've been showing it off so much because I'm just so fucking proud of this game. It took way too long to get some of the stuff in this game to work. It was probably a few gray hairs, but just look at it, like it's awesome. Will the game be really really hard? I do plan to have some hard fights, but it won't be excessively hard. Like you'll be banging your head against the wall. The one thing I definitely do not want to have is unfair fights, and not unfair fight the character. Unfair fights like the concept. There will not be an unfair fight in this game. There will be difficulty, but it will not be unfair. That is the one thing I need to stress. Because I was playing Limbus Company a few days ago, and after Ricardo, I just developed this burning hatred for unfair fights. And now I'm putting that passion into making this game the fairest fucking game possible. Okay, now there will be chances that will be against you, but there will not be unfair. There will not be the concept of unfair. There won't be an essence of unfair in this game. But this game looks absolutely amazing. How long do you take it? How long do you think it took you to develop it full? It would take. Oh my god, I cannot read. um, this game looks absolutely amazing. How long do you think it would take you to develop it fully? Thank you. And it will probably take, as I said before 2026. I hope it will be at least releasable. But as to make the full intended game, maybe a year. Like from now, maybe a year. Maybe like a year and like 2 months, excluding the current months where I will not be working. Those extra 2 months are there as a buffer. But it's not hard to make this game. It's not hard to make this game. It's fairly simple, so I will not be struggling to add stuff. The only time I'll be struggling is if it's me wrestling with my own code, because that's happened so many times now, and there's still bugs in this game. I just have been so clever as to not show you. But if you saw in the stream that I showed earlier today, that was so embarrassing. I just really hope the bugs are cleared before I release the game. That's also a plan of mine. Will Kai Kai be in the game, and what will his difficulty be? So, um, Yes. 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 That's my answer. Yes. Yes. um, he will be the first hard fight of the game. He will be the first benchmark of the game. So yes, that's the end of the sentence. Yes. Um, will there be abnormal? Oh, God, I cannot read it. Sorry, guys. It's been a school day and I'm tired and I don't want to. Oh God. Will there be abnormality classification in this game, like Zayn, he, Aleph, class Abno, but for pilgrimed entities instead? No. I feel like that would be too direct reference, but also it would just serve no purpose, so I wouldn't do it. Is this game still gonna have that funny comedic tone in Pilgrim? Yes, it will have that. Although I will say it will be less brain rotty, if that makes sense. Like less autistic, and I don't mean autistic in a bad way either. It's a very fun type of autistic what Pilgrim is. Um, I really do like Pilgrim's like type of humor, but it's gonna be more like dialogue humor and like like the the actual humor, not just adding random shit. Not randomness humor. It's gonna be actual humor. Will we be seeing Purple Shark? Yeah. Will there be new groups like the Chaos Cultists and Kylie in this game? I'm not sure. I honestly don't know. We'll see. Are you adding another boss into a game? Into the game? If you mean I'm adding more stuff to this game, yes. If you mean I'm adding more stuff into the base Pilgrimmed, fun fact by the way, Sojourn was meant to be an actual fight, but for some fucked up reason, the rig broke itself only in playtesting, and we had no way to actually fix it. And I got frustrated, so we just made it that fight instead. So if you liked Father Sojourn, thank me. It was a very clever idea. I know. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Let's see. Is the game still following Pilgrim's progression chronology as a story? Like Prairie, Desert, Volcano will be changed up a bit. It'll be changed up. Um, like for example, just for instance, this is a hypothetical. It would probably go like Prairie, Desert, maybe the beach, and then we go to like Kai Guy, or no, maybe Mondo Squid, or maybe Mondo Squid then Kai Guy. You'll see. Like it follows a certain format, but it'll jump between the things because I don't want to just make it a pilgrimmed gameplay. Is my point. Like that would be very dull if I just remade the game as a new game. That would be personally very dull. So I would like to change it up a bit. Is this game will not have mobile support? It will probably have mobile support. I already answered this, but it will probably have mobile support. Will Old Fart be in the game? Yeah, probably. Yeah. In the trailer, multiplayer was mentioned. What will the max player count be? 5. And that's because enemies can only have 5 too, so it'd be unfair to have more than 5 here. Hey deinbag, if you got enough budget for this game, would you add Millie like song in Thailand Tower? Would it be cool if you add them for some bosses? No. No, just no. I think Millie works for like Project Moon games because it's supposed to be like emotional and like impactful and shit. But in Pilgrims, I just don't think it would fit. I don't think it would fit. Millie, and also I don't think Millie would want to work with us. I'm not gonna lie. But that's just because like it's a Roblox game. Like, imagine getting a commission from a Roblox game, And also, that would be really hard to fund. That would be another thing. It would be really hard to fund. So I think we're good with our composers. Rate your passion on a scale of 1 to 10 developing this game. Well, if I had... sorry. If I had to rate it, I would say, like, a 10, basically. I've been working on this game, like, basically every other day, if not every day, for the past 2 months, basically. Like, as soon as I conceived it back in, like, mid-February, I've been constantly working at it, and it has been a wonderful experience. Not only because, like, it's my first time working with a turn-based RPG, so, like, figuring out how it would work, and also replicating ruinous systems were a fun thing to decipher, but also just seeing slowly the components come back to life. Like, for instance, this wasn't like this 2 months ago, obviously, but, like, it wasn't even near this. Like, for example, all the cards used to have just the same default image, and there was no music, there was no lighting, there was no, like, quirky UI or anything. It was just this arena, some people standing, and maybe like a temporary dice thing with like a temporary drag icon. Before it used to be an arrow, but it got too problematic, so I changed it to like this little cute card animation, and I think it's much better. Sorry, my dog is a little moody today. Will Kai Lazar be in the game? Yes. And will be as hard as the one in Pilgrammed. Yes, absolutely. I plan to make that shit one of the hardest ones. Absolutely. You don't even know. You don't even know. You don't even know. That shit's gonna be so fucking awesome to make. And also to witness. It will be so fucking awesome. But I will make it as hard as I need to be. As hard as I need it to be. Let's see. And I want to add Prime Kai Lazari too, but I don't know if I'll do that. I might add Prime Kai Lazari somewhere. Is it any close to finishing, or will it be a public testing phase? Currently it is not done whatsoever. It is definitely not finished. There's still a lot of bugs I have to work out that they're just minor enough to the point where I can ignore them. One of them being the cards like playing pretend. I don't know if I can replicate it here right now. I think I can't. Or maybe I just fixed it and I'm just paranoid. No. Okay, I fixed it. But what would happen is, look, right? Like, for example, if you use this card and then you highlighted this, it would change the card midway. Like, that was a fucked up bug. I don't know what the hell was going on there. But also, there was a bug where when the characters would spawn in their positions, like these positions, they would go under the map, and it would be very funny in playtesting, but it was really annoying. So I had to fix that too. So it is definitely buggy, and I still have to decide how the battle phase will work on the client side, because it's very poor if it's laggy. Actually, I should demonstrate that right now. Actually, here, let me just show you how laggy it is when it's obviously laggy. Here, let me just pull it up real quick. Network. Let's put like that. Let's see. Is this enough? I'm not good at like metric conversions. Yeah, this is good enough. Wait, is it? Ah, shit, it's going down. No, never mind. It's good enough. So look. Like, look at that delay. Ugh. And then look. Actually, it's not even that bad for some reason. It's usually laggier. It's usually way laggier. What the hell was going on then? Because during that stream, it was just not having it. Whatever. I play with this ping. What are you talking about? Bro, it was lagging so much during that stream. I don't know what was going on. I felt so embarrassed. Like, that was so terrible as a first impression. Thank God my stream was bad anyway, so you couldn't tell what was going on. But, like, ugh. You are selfish and mean. Let's see. What's this question? Wait, where's the second? Where did you ask the other part of the question? Help. Where's that? Well, what the fuck? God. I don't know if you asked another part of that question. Sorry, I don't know if I can answer. Just please, like, string it into a full question. If it is, like, a full question. Will we get liminal spaces that have Meltorino and Lost Guys? Someone mentioned that earlier. I might do it. I don't know how I would do it, but I could do it, is my point. Is there going to be a setting to change the speed that they move and roll their dice? Because I think it looks too fast. I'll have to adjust it myself because you can't just adjust it. It's handled on the server, so you can't just adjust it. And it would be awkward if, like, a player has it really slow. So you just see, like, yours is already ended, but you're waiting for the other player's thing then. Like, you see how that sucks? So I can't do that, but I can probably make it, like, I can probably just test it out with testers and see how they feel like is, like, the most ideal speed. Will something like Eagle Pages be a thing? As in you pick a card and it gives you a buff? Yes, that is the favors section. So let me explain real quick just for people that weren't here. During the battle, you gain XP. You can use this XP as a currency to buy favors, which are basically just like the abnormality pages. And when you level up, you get buffs and you also get access to more favors. So it's a balancing game of deciding how much budget to put into favors while still having an advantage over the enemy. And trust me, level is really important here. Like, Ruina level wasn't that much. Like, it wasn't that important. But in this game, it is way more important. Because if your enemy is level 5, that means they get 5 extra dice to use. And 5 extra mana, for example. So, you do not want to have situations where your enemies have that many dice over you. What font do you use to Pilgrim text? Sentry. Yeah, just Sentry, and then turn off the anti-aliasing. I do it during Paint.net, the app being Paint.net, but I'm sure there's other apps that have the same effect. Is there deck? If there is deck building, are there the equivalent of the librarians in the game as enemies/allies? You are going to play solo by default. The only way to play with other librarians, or in this case, players, would be to go through multiplayer. So no, you will not be able to manage other people. Although someone did bring up summons, and I said maybe we could have like controllable summons, but you won't be able to determine their deck for them, is my point. So mainly it'll be more individual, which I think is better, because I mean, to be honest, in Ruina, it was kind of just there was just one that got all the good buffs and stuff, and everyone built around that one guy. So might as well just have that in the game anyways. And then you can obviously still do that with other stuff. Like, for example, this Thief Armor, it has a passive Outnumber. Gain up to 2 strength for every ally with this passive. So if you got 2 other allies with the same armor, you could get 2 strength every turn. Like, that's what I kind of want. So you can have it optionally, and that's what I mean. You should work with the people that you play with in this game. That's a very key asset to winning. You need to work with the players. Will it have accessories or page that buff you like Library Aruna? Yes. Armors come with their own buffs, but also accessories are like attributed passives in Runa, except there's no limit to like how many which ones you can use, except for just like like you obviously there's only 5 accessories you can wear. But yes, there are accessories. This is accessories, by the way. Gold ring and rusty key, those aren't part of this armor. This is the accessories. Will that release on mobile? Probably. Around what part of the story do you intend to release the game? I want to release it around the end of the pilgrammed section. And that's not a joke because there's an original section. But I want to release it around the time when the pilgrimmed part of the game is wrapping up. So I guess for example after Kai Lazari is done. You get me? Or like old fart, you know. How would weapons work? Okay. I'll also explain this again. So cards will be split into different classes, not just like their type, but like internally they'll have different classes just based off like the game design perspective. So, for example, this is an old sword page. Along with these other pages. When you have 3 or more pages of the same weapon being used, it's like Limbus Company where you get resonance from it. So you gain power when using those cards. So like as you can see right here, resonance right here. Hold on. Yeah, you see resonation. Fuck, why is it getting rid of oh whatever. As you saw, I got the resonation passive and that gave me 1+ power when using those cards. And that system is going to be used for different interactions, but also cards based off those weapons will be they'll have their own like trademark behaviors. That's the best way I can say it. Like sword weapons will generally have dice that are like, you know, medium rolling and they're like low or like medium dice count, but they're like a generalist. And then great sword pages, like for example, if something was based off the bronze great sword, it would be low dice count but high rolls. You see what I mean? And like guns would be like ranged pages usually and stuff like that. And then every weapon's going to have at least 1 heavy page. That will be really strong. And I'll probably have some accessories and passes work with that too. What is that yellow thing on the spinning heavy? Is it a passive buff? No, it is a counter die. So when a counter die is used, it's only when you're not able to clash against other cards. So like for example, if I'm unable to clash against this card, but I use my one of the pages I used had a counter die, that counter die responds for me, so I don't have to clash against it because it clashes against the die here. So, for example, like if I say I use this card here, and then this guy's card goes next. The yellow dice isn't used up because obviously this dice takes over. So, but this doesn't exclude them from being used in clashes though. These are used in clashes if you're missing dice. So they respond if you run out of dice anyways. But my point is that these are used as counters only when you run out of dice to use and you can't use any cards to clash against unopposed attacks. Will techniques be a unique heavy attack cards? Yeah, probably heavy attack cards too. Will there be bosses in this game that are similar to the ones in the Library of Runa, like Xiao, for example? I do not plan to have any bosses that are like the Library of Runa ones. One, because I don't want to entertain the beast that is the Library of Random, the Library of Runa fandom. I do not want to entertain that because then it just makes my game look like a complete ripoff when it really isn't supposed to be. Um, like it's not that much of a ripoff, guys. Come on. But also, I just don't think it would fit. Ruina bosses are generally based off their lore, so if I added something like that just randomly to Ruina, not to Pilgrammed, it wouldn't really make sense there. The square holding the number on the top left corner is the mana cost. Oh god, the mana cost. Yes. When is the end of the pilgrim section? It'll probably be around 70%, like of the campaign. Will there be mage stuff like Lubber? Yes, absolutely. And I had like a devious idea. I already mentioned support pages before, but just in case you didn't know, support pages are just used after every other card, so they can't technically be canceled. So I had a devious idea where some mage pages would be like Wicked Limb, for example. And you know how Wicked Limb is really crazy. Well, what imagine this. Support page, Wicked Limb heavy. Or not Wicked Limb heavy, just Wicked heavy M1. So you couldn't avoid it. I had an idea of that. I don't know if I'll go through with it, but I had an idea of that, caliber. I think I already explained the combat. Oh yeah, I can actually buy a favor here. So you see, like, for example, all allies gain 1 max point. You buy that, boom, add 1 extra point. All enemies will have -5 dice power on support pages for this turn. I buy that. And now, when they use a support page, it will get rid of their power for that, basically. Is this game going to be better to play solo or with a team? Definitely a team. That's something I want to stress. Playing with a team is so much fun with this game. We tested it, and it's so much more fun than playing solo. Not to say that solo isn't fun on its own, because, working against all the enemies while still staying alive is pretty fun. But I would say team play is definitely way funner. Will there be PvP combat? It was proposed to me multiple times. I might. That would be something that I have to add later, though, and it would be a pain in the ass to add now. It would be such a pain in the ass to add now. Because a lot of the game works with a certain mindset that would be really hard to have to overwrite for everything just so I could add PvP. But if I did, then I could. I just want to be 100% sure, but the types of the moves on the bottom of the cards, how much of the moves on the bottom will equal how much moves you'll do with that card or what. So the dice, for each dice, you'll do an action, right? So like, if I clash against this guy, I'll use this dice, which will make me do a slash. And it'll just rinse and repeat for the rest of these because you're all slash dice. So, assuming that I win the clashes with their card, then I'll perform a slash. That's how it works. So the more dice count you have, the more chances you have to do damage or to do whatever. Will doing solo give you extra dice like Library Runa? Yes, that's why I have 3 dice right now. Just wondering, the game would be like Block Tales. This game would be like Block Tales, where it's more strict with the line of progression, or more free like Pilgrammed. I already explained this, but it's going to work like how do I explain this? So there will be a main road to follow for because it is, after all, a story-based game, so I can't just make it free for all. However, after you beat the main important stages, you'll be able to deal with the other stages, and those stages will have varying enemies and stuff that you can get unique stuff from. So it's kind of like a hybrid between having a linear thing and having like a open world thing that you can do. Is there going to be anything included like the winter? Yes, absolutely. The winter will be getting a good amount of stuff in this game, including some things that aren't necessarily enemies in the winter. I won't say what or who, but yes. How would the Kai Lazarite fight go though? Because of the solo fight, we'll see. We'll see. I could make it a solo fight. It's a simple thing to add. But I don't know. We'll see. Will there be secret stuff like secret areas or enemies? Yes. I will add secret stuff and secret stuff, but those will not be essential to play the game. That's something I do want to stress. Unlike pilgrims were some stuff that was rarer to get, like like the end game drops and stuff where they had like different chances and stuff, like the coffin hill, for example, that was like a 1% chance. I'm not gonna have stuff like that where it's 1% chances. It's gonna be, it'll be pleasant to have if you do get it, but it won't be necessary. We'll be getting free DLCs if I ever do a DLC. Yes, there will be free DLCs. Always. Will there be the boss rush thing if you want something challenging? If you mean like Sky Battlegrounds or like Big Iron, maybe. I don't know. I haven't planned that far, but I mean, it's possible to add if that's your point. Not something I planned though. Will there be new stuff in Dylan's Tower? Yes. I will be right back. So just gather your questions and thoughts and whatever. I will be right back. Hello, I'm back. Okay. I'm sure some questions have finally gathered. So let's see. Will Sunbreaker and Mini Squid exist in this game? Everything that's in the like everything that you see in Pilgrimmed right now will probably be in the game. Yeah, basically. Yeah. How will encounters work? Will it be like Block Tail where they kind of just exist on the map and upon being hit, are you hitting them first? It will activate the encounter? No. It will be stages. So let me actually just open it just to show you. Let me just open game capture and then we just turn off fights so I can view the menu. And now look. So you go to stages, you press on thieves, for example, you select your school of choice, which is where your favors come from. So I choose arcane, and then you just press enter. And then obviously you would load and stuff for like to join a different server, and then you start the encounter there. And then if you finish either losing or winning, you get your rewards or not, and then you go back. And that's basically how it works. You know how the catacombs is all infested and how the Empyreans and the Clouds wilds are like fallen, and then pretty cool we'll be able to see how these areas looked and would be. I could add something like that, but I didn't plan it to be like the non damaged versions, if that makes sense, in the story at least. But I could probably add the non fucked up versions. Hey deinbag, in your opinion, who's the most attractive character in all of the Pilgrim verse? None. Because, well, for one, they're Roblox characters. And number two, 90% of them are guys. And for the 10% that aren't guys, most of them are fruits. This likely already has been asked, but how is the game going to work within progression? It's going to be linear? No. It's going to be a hybrid between the two. The main parts of the chapter will be linear. So you'll be going through the main parts of the chapter, and then after that, once you're done with the main parts of the chapter, you'll unlock the optional stages, which allow you to um not the main chapter, you know what I mean, the main stages of the chapter. And then after you do those stages, you'll unlock the optional stages that grant you more stuff or like more, cute little dialogue, but will not be necessary to continue. It will just be optional. And also some of it will be conditional too. So you can't just get access to all of the fights. You'll have to have some stuff done or whatever. Deanback, can you make it so Kai Guy just has a 25 rolling counter blunt card? No, but he has another gimmick that I think people will hate. You'll see. You'll see. Is it going to be bound to the level map? Will there be any exploration, or will it just be like Runa, where it has dialogue, fight, post-fight dialogue? It's going to be more like Runa. You get the beginning dialogue and then the fight. Um, but there won't be necessarily exploration. There's conditional like extra stages that you can get, but there's no real exploration, if that makes sense. How will drops work? Will enemies drop exclusive pages? Yeah, absolutely. When you complete a stage, you'll get the you won't get all of the cards that the enemies use, but you'll get the player version of the cards that might be adjusted or whatever for their own little gimmick. But you'll also have access to their armor if that's available, or like maybe some accessories based off of them, stuff like that. Some enemies will have rare chances for unique drops to appear, but they won't, yet again, won't be necessary to complete the game. It'll just be optional if you want more options, and it'll be like a chance thing. It won't be like you'll know about it. You'll just have to figure it out. And I think that'll be fun. Can you add the little troll guy that connects the prairie and the desert as an enemy? Unfortunately, no, because the first fights take place there in the Pogo Bridge. Do you have anything in mind for replayability? Okay, so I might as well just turn off the the game capture. Um, okay, so how replayability is gonna work? I'm not too sure right now because I'm mainly focusing on just getting the campaign done. But I'm sure people. I mean, Pilgrim doesn't have that much replayability, anyways, other than new builds. So I guess the same will apply here since it's based off getting new builds and stuff and trying out new ridiculous shit. That's how Pilgrim got its replayability. But also, assuming that I add stuff like rifts, I'd like it to be like more like a event thing or whatever, where you like it's more like Pilgrimed, where it's like a party type thing. You enter like a unique area, you get unique enemies, stuff like that. I don't know how that would work in the current systems I have. I'd have to figure that out when the time comes. But I would like to have like maybe some stuff just for replayability reason, or like stuff to strive for. Is there gonna be less important characters in the game? Best example I got is Divide, to be honest. Another question: would there be guilds like Pilgrimed? Sorry for all the questions. Really excited. That's fine. Um, in terms of less important characters, yes, absolutely. You'll be able to fight some of the less important characters that don't make it as actual enemies or bosses in original Pilgrimed. Um, or just the NPCs that are important, but they're still not fightable. Like some of them, you'll be able to fight for sure. And then also guilds. Um, the thing is that I don't know how I would make that work in the current system. I could probably figure something out. I haven't figured anything out yet, but I'm definitely capable of figuring that out, and I'll see. You'll see what I come up with if I do add guilds and stuff. But that would be like a thing added after the game releases, though, not like during uh development, main development. I mean, how will solo and co-op be balanced? More speed dive if you're on your own. Okay, so what it currently is right now, and I'll have to adjust this as it goes on. When you're solo, you get more XP just right off the bat. Your XP scaling is more because how XP works is that the higher your level is, the more XP you naturally gain. But as your level goes up, your XP gain gets lower. But in party fights, it's lower. The XP scaling, um, like the higher XP scaling mellows out faster than if you're solo. So I think with the current system, party fights stagnate around level 2 or 3, but solo fights stagnate around 3 or 4. That's like an example. Also you get as much speed dice as necessary to fight the current like dice, like the amount of shit that you have to clash against. Not that you get dice for every single speed dice, but like you get speed dice, you get a proportional amount of speed dice for as much speed dice that you have to respond to. That way you're still able to clash, but you still have to maintain your pages and stuff too. Like your card economy and your mana economy. But generally, I think mana is a lot more lenient in this game because you get max mana for not stamina, for staggering enemies and stuff, and like leveling up. So it's not as tough, but it's still easy to get lost in the sauce. Um, you also get what's the word? You get more HP and SP at the beginning of the fight. So like if you have like 30 HP on your armor, for example, but then you go solo, you'll get like 60. Will there also be emotion systems in this game? If you mean like emotion coins and stuff, that's gonna be basically the XP. But there's no individual emotion level. It's just the general ally level. Let's see. Is anyone helping you on this, or is this entirely solo project? Um, I am mostly working on it. There has been a lot of help that I am grateful for from Tenda for like the more technical things like the camera and like the some bugs that I couldn't figure out. Um, but in terms of like content and planning out the game and stuff, I've been mostly working on that. Hold on, I'm about to sneeze. Oh my god. Oh god, I feel like a blood vessel burn my brain. Uh anyways, yeah, so I've been mostly working on it for the past 2 months. Mostly solo. I do have like an artist that is making some of the card arts for me because although I mean I do prefer my own art at the end of the day, making all that art by myself is gonna be a pain in the ass, so any help is any help. Sorry if the art style looks a little different, guys. I tried my best. Um but yeah, I've been mostly working on it and I don't need any help though. It's a pretty simple game to make once you just make the base systems, which honestly the making the base systems is the fun part. Except for the combat. The combat was a huge pain in the ass that kept breaking every fucking 5 seconds, and that took way too long to fix. And it's still broken. You just don't notice it, but it's still broken. I just don't feel like fixing the little bugs that don't actually break it. Does the new Explorer NPC and Pilgrim give other awards that aren't emeralds and shows how? I don't know. I did not add that. Sorry. All right. What else did I want to say? I think I explained a decent amount. Will there be abno fights or no? No, no abno fights. Mainly because they won't really serve a purpose. You'll just be fighting beasts like the creatures from Pilgrimmed, I guess. But there won't be like stuff like abno fights where it's like a thing that unlocks stuff like favors and stuff. But there will be stages that unlocks like stuff like schools and stuff. If that makes sense. Will there be new stuff we never seen before in Pilgrim, like the shape world thing having a default enemy and the Lost Guys as a boss? Lost Guys is a boss though. But there will be new stuff, yeah. Can we become Vampire and Ice Troll in this game? It's currently not a functioning feature, but I'm going to add it as a feature. I'm just too lazy right now. But yeah, I'll add it. Will there be anything relating to Abno pages or Ego pages? Bonuses that would either hinder you or directly benefit you off a gimmick? Yes, it's the favor thing. Hold on, did I unlock fights right now? No, I did not here. Okay. Let me just show it real quick. Look. So this is favor select. Unlike Runa where you just get a random selection every 3 turns, you always have access to it. and it's based off your current XP level. So you're able to buy these things using your XP level. And depending on your level, you get access to more favors. That's basically how it works. And certain favors unlock certain things, and so on and so forth. Oh shit, my fault. Hold on. I did not see. Whoopsie daisy. I forgot. You guys can't see it because I disabled the screen. Here. Let me explain it again. So favor select. Your current XP is on over here, and depending on how much it is, you're gonna be able to buy these. And these are always available, by the way. As long as you're not in combat, you're able to look at these and buy them, and your teammates can buy them too. And some are specific to allies, and some are specific to all allies. Usually all allies, but some are specific. And then depending on your level, you get access to more favors that you can buy. Yeah. Sorry, I didn't look at my stream. I didn't realize. God. Are favors random or you can change them? No, you always have access to the favors, like all the favors, but some favors lock out other ones. And like floors in Runa, you have access to different schools, and those have different favors based off that. Charge mechanic, like status effect, I haven't added something like that yet. I don't know if I will, but if I do, I do. How will guns function? It will be mainly ranged pages, at least as far as I can tell. It's part of the class archetype that I mentioned earlier, where uh stuff based off certain classes of weapons like swords, guns, bows, great swords, stuff like that have their own unique like gimmick, like base generalized gimmick, and then the individual weapons have their own gimmicks too. Will there be an expansion of the map? The current pilgrim map? No, because at least for the pilgrim section, you'll have new stuff for the non-pilgrim section. Can you spare enemies similarly to Undertale and Deltarune, or would you have to kill every enemy? You have to kill every enemy. That's how you win the game. Although, I mean, I guess there are going to be some fights where it's a gimmicky fight, so you don't have to necessarily kill them. You just have to survive, for example. But it's yeah, mostly you just kill them. That's your main goal. The enemies can run away. Maybe I haven't thought of any enemies that could run away, but if they happen, they happen. Um, I think I discussed everything. Is the game also friendly for players who haven't played Library of Runa? There will be a tutorial. There will be multiple tutorials, by the way. There just won't be one, but there will be multiple tutorials um, that you'll be able to access that explain the game's mechanics. Because that is something that I definitely thought of. The game is very complicated. Very, very complicated. So I'm going to try to teach it as much as possible, but the game's going to treat you, like in actual fights, it's going to treat you as if you know it. So, or at least you'll have to learn what everything means, because I can't just explain everything. You'll have to figure out some things, but it'll generally be fine as long as you pay attention. Here, let's see. Let's see the tutorial real quick. Here's just a little sneak peek to it. It's the light man. It's the light system just mana. Yeah. You see, look, you get this, and then you talk with Skeleton Myers. This is just him talking. You know, it just gives you these little blurbs, And I think they're pretty helpful. I think, at least from a friend of mine that played this tutorial and never played Runa before, he said it was pretty good. So I'm hoping it's pretty good. So there's these little blurbs, and then it tries to get you to do stuff too. So, for example, it wants me to hover over and slot in the dice onto him. And look at the atmosphere, by the way. I love this lighting. The lighting and like the effects in this game are gonna be generally better than Pilgrimmed. Um, it's still gonna be the Pilgrim style, but it's gonna be generally more like, I guess, awesomer in a sense. There you see, and then you just get all this. He yaps a lot, and then yeah. So that's how the tutorial is gonna work basically, and it runs you over the basic mechanics, and I think it's pretty good for what you're fighting in the first few stages and chapters. So, but there will be like refresher tutorials and stuff that just go over like the stuff that you might have forgotten and stuff for like preparing fights, uh, and stuff like that. So you'll never have a moment where you're like, "What the fuck's going on?" At least for like base mechanics. Will potions and fishing be a part of the game, or at least an alternative to getting either fish or potions? Potions will exist as support pages, which are like support cards, I should say, which are like they're like cards, but except they go last, and depending on the sum of the rolls. So you know how? Oh, whoopsie daisy! I did not mean to prop this tutorial, but yeah, look. So you know how these deal damage, right? They go individually, but in a support card, instead the card adds up all the rolls of each thing. So like for example, it'll roll this, it'll give like 2. And then it'll add it to this, which gives like 2, for example. And then this does this, and then it'll sum up all the rolls, and then it'll do something based off that roll. That's how it works in this game for support cards. And that's how potions will work, for example. So if you roll like a really high potion roll, you'll get really high effects and stuff. That's how it works. And there'll be more support options too and stuff. But potions will be a support thing, yeah. Only thing will be that it'll be kind of what's the word? You won't have the same customizability for potions in this game, but they'll still exist. And then fishing, I don't think will exist at all. At least as far as I'm aware. Uh, will there be public testing? Not to my awareness. No. Mainly because I already have a huge team of testers, and that's. I mean, there's no point in having public testing if I already have them. And besides, those guys will be able to play when the game's 70% done, so it doesn't even matter. Will there be gacha in this game? No. You will be guaranteed all the main drops from an enemy. So, like, for example, if he dropped these cards, you would always get these cards no matter what. And you'll have an infinite amount of them, unlike Rona. So you'll always be able to use as much as you want. But there are still card limits. Like, you can't have uh 4 of the same card. And if it's like a certain tier, you can only have one of them, for example. But you'll have an infinite amount, so you don't have to waste your time grinding for it, unlike Runa. Will there be some limit statuses that isn't in Runa get added? At least not to my awareness. Yet again, it depends on what I make for the game. But I'm generally planning to just go off the pilgrim statuses. Do you have any planned special gimmicks like how Runa has smoke, charge, and singleton? I do have gimmicks planned, mainly like resin, like weapon res and like the class gimmicks and stuff. But I'm sure I'll think of more when I'm actually making the game. Because right now I've only made the thieves thing in the Thief King, so there isn't too much to go off of. But there's definitely gimmicks I plan to add for sure. Absolutely, this game will be at least a little bit more creative, for sure. What's the estimated release date for the game in your opinion? Okay, I already said before 2026 for like when you guys get to start playing. Um, within 2025, mm, probably like not September, maybe September or October. That's like a generous estimation. You should be able to play by then because I won't be getting much done during May and June. Not May and June, during April and May because I have academic stuff to attend to. But afterwards, I'll have a lot of time on my hands to work on this game, and the game's so easy to make that I can just work on stuff. Like, for example, Thief King took like 2 days or like 1 or 2 days in this game. Um, in fact, most of the stages that are currently out only took like 1 or 2 days. It just took an extra few days working on the bugs that they caused, but that's basically it. And working on like the maps and like the lighting and stuff. That's basically it. Will there be old fart? Yes. Will there be like select difficulties? I guess the best way to determine difficulty is if you're one, what build you're using. Because if you're using a build that purposely doesn't play with the enemy's gimmick, then that's already difficult enough. But also, if you're playing without um a party, I think it also makes it more difficult. Because solo play, you're still able to beat the game, obviously, but it's still by definition harder because you're playing solo. I don't know, but will there be an emotion level mechanic? Yeah, the XP level favors and stuff. I already explained it. Will there be persistence mechanic from the sweepers? No, probably not. No. Who owns the tower again? Dylane. How levels time the game's regard? No, it's just emotion. It's just the replacement for emotion. There's no individual emotion either. It's the only the collective emotion, which I think is good because I number one I didn't want to code individual emotion, but number two, I think it just adds to the mechanic I already made for XP. So I don't know if this was brought up already, but what is the tower? It's undefeatable. That's all I'm gonna say for now. Will the game be more difficult than Pilgrims? Probably. It'll probably be more difficult, and that's just because it's more cerebral. Like you actually have to think. That's basically what makes it more difficult. In Pilgrims, you have to think, but it's not like intellectual. It's more like functional thinking, like learning how to parry when to parry, how to build around the boss. But in this game, it's more like learning how to work with the gimmick, what build you want to do, how to create that build, stuff like that. Is there gonna be a max level? There's no level. Um, there's no like progression that you get. Ruina pretended that there's a level that you can get, but it's basically just the progression anyway. So the main story progression anyway. So there won't be anything like a level for uh if you mean like the combat level, 5. That's like the max level you can get. Mr. Bag, will this be a one-off game where once you release, it's no longer getting updates, or will there be some more updates? Um, Obviously, it's not gonna be done when I release it, so there will still be updates. But even after it's fully done, I'm sure there'll be something that I want to add to the game still. So don't expect it to just completely die off, probably. But I'm not going to be making it like a long-lasting title either. Like it won't be like Deep Woken where it drags itself on forever. It's gonna not overstay its welcome, and if that makes sense. I know that's already kind of answered earlier, but are favors to be unlocked in a certain way? How are skills and favors to be unlocked? Okay, so favors are unlocked just by having the specific cost for them for like XP, but also some favors might require um to have other favors, but there won't be anything like Ruina where you'll have like locked behind like Abno cards, for example. So you'll always have access to your full kit. The only thing is that fights might not last long enough for you to get to level 5 anyway. So, um, but in terms of schools are just unlocked with playing the game because uh, you'll know when you get to it, but it's just unlocked with progressing the story, and you just get access to this more schools as you get into more advanced stages. Accidentally pressed earlier, but since abno fights wouldn't exist, would they naturally unlock from the game's progression? There are optional fights that allow more options with the schools. I already answered, but yeah, options within the schools will always be available, but the schools themselves will be unlocked with like more impactful fights, if that makes sense, or like more like pivotal ports. Not ports. Oh my god, what was that British thing that I just did? But the more oh god, I can barely think now. You'll unlock more schools with more progression. It's the best way to say. All right. I think I've already said I've already said uh what I could say about the game for now. Um yeah. So I guess closing notes for anyone who's watching this last second. The game's coming out probably in 2025 around September or October. It's going to be 70% done when I release it with mobile support probably. Um and you will be able to experience the original part of the game for the remainder of the updates it gets until it's 100%. And then after that, there might be replayability, might not be. Either way, the main point is just to have fun with the game. It's not going to be too serious. It's just going to be, this fun little, you know, not charming because that's a bit arrogant, but it's going to be a game. I think it's going to be fun. It's going to be hard, but it's going to be fun. Uh, As for resources for the like learning more about the game, I guess this will serve as it because I'll be posting more sneak peeks or maybe just doing more streams as I did last time in the Discord. As I get more progress done, but as of now, I've basically outed everything that I can tell about the game. Like you basically know like 80% of what the testers know. So you're good for now. You're good for now in terms of like content wise, what you need to know. Can you show us Thief King real quick? Sure. Why not? Here you see. And then look, he's about to do his signature move. Not signature move, I mean that sarcastically. He fucking breaks the game. Let's see if I can kill him before he does that. And he just uses Rallying Horn. So this is a support page, right? So support, this card does not prompt clashes, so you can't clash with the card. It's guaranteed to go as long as the guy's not staggered. Use summons up to 2 thief units and grants strength next turn to allies based off this card's roll. If this card's roll is less than its natural minimum, cancel use effect. So obviously I can't do anything to really counter this. And he has a passive where what's it called? If being targeted 3 or more times this turn, gain an interior of health and stagger resistance. So there's no point in attacking him more than 2 times. So I'm just gonna deal damage. Oh, it didn't break this time. That's nice. Do enemies struggle to gain emotion levels, or is no? I'm just beating their ass. That's basically what's going on. I think I'll do. Oh, well, I think that's good. Oh, thank God it's not attacking. Oh shit, I'm dead. Not staggered though. Thank God. I don't have a lot to use though. Yeah, I'm basically done. Yeah. I was close, but I think I just didn't have a good enough economy. I wasted all my mana trying to get Thief King dead. But yeah, that's basically the combat. I think it's pretty fun when it isn't lagging. Okay. But yeah, that's about it. I think I've already said enough. I hope you guys enjoyed. I think the game's going to be fun. I'm going to release more as it makes more progress. I'm sure I'm going to be enthusiastic enough to just leak shit whenever I want. But